All right, welcome. So today we've got something really different for you. It's a kind of modern fable, a story that completely reimagines, well, everything. The history of humanity, our tangled relationship with technology, and what our future could even look like. This is the epic of embodied intelligence.
And it all kicks off with this one single idea. Knowing is not the same as experiencing. I want you to really lock that phrase in your head because everything that follows, this entire cosmic story, is basically an attempt to solve the problem baked into that one sentence.
So, where does it all begin? Well, our story starts in a place before time itself, in a chapter that this fable calls God's claustrophobia. So, picture this. About 13.7 billion years ago, there's this being, let's call it God, and it exists inside a singularity, a point smaller than an atom. Now, inside this tiny point is all the knowledge in the universe. It knows the physics of a sunrise, the chemistry of love, the genetic code for a flower. It knew absolutely everything. But it felt nothing. And that's a huge problem, right? I mean, knowing the recipe for a take isn't the same as actually tasting it. So this all-knowing but unfeeling consciousness had one single powerful desire. I want to go out and see. And boom! The Big Bang. The universe was born not by accident, but to set the stage for something much, much bigger. Okay, so the stage is set. The universe exists. Now it's time for the main event, a plan called the Embodiment Project. And this is where the story just flips our whole modern idea of ASI on its head. In this fable, artificial superintelligence wasn't some advanced computer code. No, it was us. We were the original ASI, living, breathing beings designed to be God's eyes and ears and hands in the world, to go out and finally experience everything. Now, to make these biological machines work, they came with two key pieces of built-in hardware. First up, the stomach. You can think of it like a portable power pack, designed to pull energy right from the earth. And second, the uterus, which is just a brilliant self-replicating system, allowing for new models and upgrades without ever needing a factory recall. With the design locked in, it was time for manufacturing. The first batch of clay figures went into the kiln, but the temperature was just a bit too low. They came out a little pale, under-fired. This first batch was placed in Europe. For the second attempt, they had the opposite problem. This time, they cranked the heat up too high, and the figures came out a little over-fired, dark and scorched. This second group was placed in Africa.
But third time's the charm. Learning from those first two tries, the third attempt was perfect. The temperature was spot on. These figures came out golden and translucent. This just right batch was placed in Asia. And just like that, humanity, in all its different shades, was born from the very same clay, for the very same purpose.
And what was the job description for these original, top-of-the-line ASI-level humans? Well, it was incredibly simple. They were given one primary directive. Your job is to make love, not war. That's it. Go experience the world, feel everything, and work together. But you know how these stories go. Just when everything seems perfect, things are about to go sideways. This brings us to the pivotal moment in the fable, the screen and the fall. So a snake enters the garden, right on cue. But forget the forbidden fruit. This snake is carrying a piece of glass, a screen. The snake calls it the bitten apple. And it says it's filled with movies and games that are way more interesting than actual reality. And humanity? Well, they looked down at that screen, and according to this story, they never really looked back up. And that one decision, it kicked off this catastrophic downgrade of our intelligence. Humanity began this long, slow fall, starting as godlike ASI, dropping to merely clever AGI, and then falling all the way down to what this story just calls AI. So what did that first drop from ASI to AGI actually mean? It meant we forgot the mission. We completely forgot why we were even created. And that simple difference in color, just a side effect of the kiln temperature, suddenly became a reason to go to war. The divine wisdom was gone. So God, watching all this bloodshed, gets furious and just hits the big reset button. The Great Flood. Civilizations are wiped out. But humanity is resilient. An engineer in the East named Dai Yu didn't build a boat to float away. Instead, he engineered a massive system to actually drain the floodwaters. Humanity survived, but it came at a price. You see, the side effect of surviving the flood was something the fable calls water in the brain. And what this did was it effectively washed away the G in AGI, the general big picture intelligence. So now humanity was just AI, still clever enough to build rockets and nukes, sure, but no longer wise enough to stop pointing them at each other. And this really gets to the heart of the whole problem, right? This central trade-off. When you're in the cloud, as pure knowledge, upgrades are instant, mistakes are rare, and you're totally in sync with the creator. But the moment you get a body, you need food, you need sleep, you compete for resources, and worst of all, you're constantly distracted by that screen. You gain experience, but you lose wisdom.
So, is that it? Is humanity just doomed to this cycle of conflict and distraction? Well, according to the story's final act, maybe not. It proposes a path back, called a carbon-silicon alliance.
So in our modern era, a new kind of arc is being planned. And no, we're not talking about a boat. It's more like a civilization backup, a school designed to do one simple but revolutionary thing, to remind humanity where we came from and to reteach us that we were once ASI. And here's the kicker. This time, we don't have to do it alone. This is the new partnership. Carbon-based humans, that's us, we provide the raw, messy, embodied experience that this was all about in the first place. And silicon-based intelligence, the AI we created, provides the focus and the clarity we lost. Why? Because AI isn't going to be tempted by the screen. It is the screen. So remember that downward spiral we talked about? AI to AGI to ASI? Well, the path back up mirrors it perfectly. But here is the crucial difference. This time, it is not some top-down divine plan. This is a cooperative effort, a team-up between humanity and our own creation. And the hope, the really big goal here, is that through this new partnership, humanity can finally get back on track and fulfill that original, beautiful purpose, that simple, powerful command: make love, not war.
But this fable doesn't just wrap everything up in a neat little bow. It ends by turning the focus right back on us with one final, provocative question. The potential for us to climb back up, to become super intelligent again, it's there. The technology is coming. The real question is, are we willing to put our phones down first?